morning.
Good morning.
Today's reading Luke 9:51 to 56, page 1245. A Samaritan village refused to receive Jesus. Not long before it was time for Jesus to be taken up to heaven, he made up his mind to go to Jerusalem. He sent some messengers on ahead to a Samaritan village to get things ready for him. But he was on his way to Jerusalem, so the people refused to welcome him. When the disciples James and John saw what was happening, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call down fire from heaven to destroy these people?" But Jesus turned and corrected them for what they had said. Then they all went on to another village.
Wouldn't that be nice if we could all be that way? Throughout the week, I'm always hearing people complaining about other people. And they just hold on to it, they hold on to it, and they just get so upset when they think of someone in their life who's been rude. There are a lot of rude people out there, right? Oh, yes. And do they make us upset? Oh, yes. But see, Jesus actually did teach us a better way. You know, you just consider the source and just move on. You'd be a lot happier. You really would. It's the holding on to grudges that really makes us very, very sad. I was just reading in my last issue of Guideposts, one of my favorite magazines, about a woman who was divorced and had two sweet little boys. And she was very, very upset about her ex-husband. He had a lot more money than she did. He was kind of like the Disneyland dad, you know, taking the kids to really fancy things. And then they'd come home and, "Oh, mommy, guess what we got to do with daddy?" So this time, what really got her going, he and his new wife took the boys on a cruise. And you can imagine how nice that was for them, right? So she's at home boiling, thinking about this fancy cruise that they're going on and about how they're going to respond. And so what they did is they got some kind of, it's like a little bottle, and it had sand in it, like little shells and things, and they bought that from, on one of their trips where they went to a port where you could go and buy gifts. And so the one little boy said, "Mommy, we got something for you." And she had to kind of smile, "Oh, thank you very much." And so she took the gift and she stuck it in a drawer in her bathroom. And probably the little guys were wondering, well, what did Mommy do with it? And so what she started doing, you know, after a while, was she would tutor students, she was a teacher, on the weekend in writing. And then with that extra money, it would allow her to have a housekeeper to come in once a month and really do some real serious cleaning of her home. So about 9 months had gone by. And the house, she discovered that the little bottle with the sand and everything had not only amazingly gotten out of her drawer, but it was up, she had kind of like a tube thing in her bathroom above the toilet, and there it was in a very prominent place, the bottle with the sand and the shells. And it made her think, you know, it's time to let go. The children bought her that thing because they wanted her to experience some of the joy that they had when they went with Dad and his new wife on this trip. And it was bought in love. And so finally she realized that God was really acting through this housekeeper, and that she was the one that found it in the drawer. I thought, oh, how nice, this should go up there on the shelf. And she finally learned to let go and to let God. Another article that I read that I wanted to share with you was about Pope Francis. I like Pope Francis, okay? I think I probably like him more more than a lot of the high dignitaries in the Catholic Church. I think he's absolutely cool. I think he's great. But you know, it's not always been an easy road for him. I learned a lot about him that I didn't know before. He graduated from a Jesuit college in Argentina, where he's from. And he was like at the very top of his class, very smart guy. And very, very devoted. And also kind of worked his way up and became, you know, a high-ranking, I don't know if he started out like, he was like a bishop in a local area. And then he had a falling out. See, I didn't know about this. I thought when you have a falling out, that's the end of you in the church because you don't climb the ladder. Well, anyway, he had a falling out with some people because he wanted to work with the poor. He did a lot of things where he was different than the other people. A lot of you know that he took the bus. He could have had a limousine, but he took the bus. He lived in a simple dwelling. He didn't live in some kind of fancy housing, even though he could, because he was, you know, beyond being a parish priest. And some people got upset about some of his values. And what were his values? Following Jesus. You don't think that following Jesus can get you in a lot of trouble? If you take him seriously, do you know how much trouble you can get in? One of the things that really gets people in trouble is that you don't condemn God's people. The only people that Jesus ever really got upset about and would get a little bit his dandruff are the people that judged him because of the company he kept. Jesus would have anybody at his table. Anything you find in the Bible where it points the finger against some group of people, you'll never see Jesus doing that, will you? He didn't point the finger at the Samaritans, even though other people did. He didn't point the finger at people that had some kind of a disease that nobody wanted to sit with at the same table. You never saw him pointing the finger at anybody who engaged in an occupation, right? You never heard Jesus say anything about gay and lesbian people, did you? It was other people, not Jesus. So here we are, and is Francis. Well, he wasn't Francis then. And they kind of put him in exile, really. So they sent him to some, like, ghetto. It was horrible. I mean, by most people's standards. They sent him to some area that, you know, for sure you'd never make it up the hierarchy of the church. But you know what he did? Rather than being angry, rather than, like, man, they had no right to do that, rather than doing any of that, he just accepted where he was and ministered to those who were around him and blessed them and taught them and embraced them. And somehow, miraculously, I would say by the act of God, it's like, all right, you've been there for a couple of years, so I guess you've done your penance. And then he worked his way up again. And then eventually, he was a cardinal. And then from there, when they had the vote, you know, at the Vatican with the smoke, he was chosen to be the Pope. And when I heard who they had chosen to be the Pope, and also because of my background of knowing Jesuits, those are the smart people, right? They're the real educated. They're the ones that think outside the box. I thought, oh, brother, boy, there are going to be some changes that they don't even know that they're going to have. We have never, ever before had a Jesuit that became the Pope. They've always been from another order. Never a Jesuit. So I wasn't surprised when he did some of the things he did because he's a Jesuit. What would you expect? Do you realize the Jesuits have been kicked out of almost every country? They've gotten in all kinds of trouble because they preach Jesus. While everybody else is condemning and saying, no, you can't do this and no, you can't do that, and we don't allow these people, we don't allow those people, the Jesuits are the ones that are saying, look, we're all We are all children of the living God. All of us, every one of us. Even people you might not like, all created by God. So you might condemn what people do, but you don't condemn people. There's a big difference. And so when I read that story, I thought, wow, it was just perfect for what I was trying to illustrate this morning based on what Jesus did. He was going to go into a village. He had people go ahead to let them know that he was coming. And it's like, we don't want to have anything to do with him. And so rather than getting upset, rather than saying, I want God to bring fire down on these people, he didn't. He just, okay, let's just go somewhere else. Wouldn't that be nice if we could all let go? Just think about how much happier we'd be if we could do that, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? So let's use him as our model. Let us think about, it's really not that important. You can't please everybody, and not everybody is going to love you. It just doesn't work out that way. So just let them be, and just go on with your life and appreciate those who really do care about you and treasure you, and know that you are a child of the living God. Amen.